Hey guys, there is one thing that the professional or very good golfers do and one thing that amateur golfers really struggle with. Let's talk about low hands. Swing plane is a really important thing to understand in the golf swing, and what this basically means, if I get set up here with a 7-iron and I drew a line through the heel of the club up through my elbow line, that basically creates a swing plane. And what we want to avoid is that swing plane becoming too vertical. If the swing plane becomes too vertical, it just becomes a lot harder to be able to manage the club face. If the club shaft starts being returned too vertically, the club face has more of a tendency to do things like open. It makes you more vulnerable of hitting it more towards the toe and off-centre hitting as well. And obviously the thing that becomes really hard in golf is the longer clubs. And the longer clubs, well, they want to sit shallower. They don't want to be returned more vertically. Now, this is the reason why a lot of amateurs are generally okay with hitting things like wedges, 9-irons, because obviously the club is shorter, we stand closer to it, it sits more vertically. The reason why most amateur golfers struggle with the longer clubs is because we stand further away, the club shaft sits lower, and therefore we have to try and theoretically swing sort of shallower, or we certainly don't want to be returning it more this way. So, how do you do this, and why is low hands a good feeling to have in the golf swing? Well, first of all, let's just talk about it. So the idea is that we would sort of take it back, or we tend to see pros take it back along the plane line. They then swing up, they would then sort of come down, and the hands between this position here and the club is parallel through to this position here stay low. What we tend to see with most amateurs is the hands are much sort of higher, and that again is adding that inconsistency. So there are two feelings that I want you to get. The first one is I really want you to understand the importance of your rotation, and again that term hip depth. Okay, so if at any point in time you are sort of moving this way towards the ball, then your hands are always going to be delivered too high. So the first thing you have to do is practice getting good hip depth. Now, I tend to think most amateur golfers respond best to things like hip depth by thinking about your weight pressure. So we'd get set up, your weight might be slightly on your lead foot to start, but when you get to the top of the backswing, your weight should be anywhere between the outside part of your right foot towards your right heel and a little bit on your lead toe. Okay, like so. Now, if you're somebody who loses hip depth in the backswing, you'll notice the way you're more on your toe line in that right foot. Get into the heel. Get that weight more into the heel. That will get that right butt back, that hip back. And then from there, as you start the downswing, you want to start feeling like you're moving it towards your lead heel, and it will be between your lead heel and your right toe. So as you sort of carry that through, it's kind of like heel to heel. Okay, see where I'm here? Heel to heel. Now, if I'm on my toes at this stage, then we're going to have a slight problem. So that'd be the first thing. Get used to that sort of feeling of maintaining hip depth. You know, tell yourself right hip back, right heel, left heel, whatever it is. But you need to be able to maintain that hip depth, because it's the rotation which is going to bring the club around the body. See what I'm demonstrating here? If I move this way, then obviously it's going to direct the club indifferently. That's stage one. The second thing that you need to do is you need to understand the concept of width. Now, what I mean by width is that the hands need to stay away from the body. Now, the best way to do this is to understand the relationship between your trail palm and the thumb. So I always try and get my students to get the feeling that the right palm is pushing the thumb away, and then as you start the downswing, your right palm pushes it here, and then it pushes it here and here. So you always want to feel like your hands are a good distance away from your sternum, and it's incorporating both of those feelings. So hands wide, hands wide, hands wide, hands wide, with that rotation that is going to give us that ability to do both of those things. Okay, so I swing back, okay, I go up, and then as I come down, right palm on the thumb gets me back on the plane line as I turn, which brings that club around like so. Okay, now most golfers, as I've explained, struggle with the hip move, but they also struggle with the width. They end up here, too close, and then casting. Do you see what I mean? So we need to get that feeling of nice width, along with that rotation is kind of like the secret sauce really to a golf swing. Okay, so if you're looking for a nice repeatable swing, those are the two things you need to learn how to do. You need to get good width with the hands and arms, good rotation with the body. That brings that club nicely through that plane area, and see the way I can swing through here, club face stays nice and square, and that is going to be the repeatable way to swing a golf club. So that's how you want to start it. Just build up those awareness, get that width, get that rotation in. It'll make a massive difference, I promise. See you guys again really soon.